When I pushed open the front door, the first thing that hit me wasn't the smell of home-cooked Thanksgiving leftovers or the warmth of a lived-in house. It was silence, heavy and unnatural, a silence that wrapped itself around the walls and seeped into my bones. I stood still, one hand still on the doorknob, wondering if maybe Ethan was upstairs napping or had stepped outside for a moment. But something about the emptiness told me it was more than that, something deeper. "Ethan," I called out, my voice echoing through the stillness, but no answer came. The house felt untouched and yet somehow disturbed, as if it had been lived in and abandoned all in the same breath. My suitcase thudded onto the floor as I slipped off my jacket. I scanned the entryway. The shoe rack caught my eye first, one space glaringly empty. Ethan's everyday shoes, the ones he practically lived in, were gone. A strange chill crept up my arms. I walked through the living room slowly, looking for signs he had simply stepped out. The cushions were neat, his mug wasn't on the table like usual, and his phone charger was missing. Something was wrong, very wrong. I took another step forward, but a deep voice from behind me froze me in place. "He's not here." I spun around, heart leaping into my throat, and found Michael, Ethan's stepfather, standing in the hallway like he owned the place. He wasn't supposed to be here. He lived 3 states away. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice shaking despite my effort to stay calm. His expression didn't change. He leaned casually against the wall, hands in his pockets, eyes dark and unreadable. "Watching the house," he said. "Ethan asked me to." My brows knitted together. "Watching the house? Why? Where is he?" Michael inhaled slowly, as if he had prepared the answer long before I arrived. "He left, packed a bag and walked out this morning." The world tilted slightly. "He left. He said you'd figure it out." I shook my head rapidly. Nothing about this made sense. Ethan wouldn't disappear without a word, especially not on Thanksgiving weekend. We'd texted last night. He'd told me to drive safe. He had sent a heart emoji. There was no sign of a man planning to walk out of his marriage by morning. Ignoring Michael's watchful eyes, I rushed to the bedroom. My stomach dropped the moment I opened the closet door. Empty hangers clinked softly as they swayed. His clothes, every shirt, jacket, even his old jerseys, gone. The drawer where he kept the watch I gave him on our anniversary was empty. The nightstand where he placed his wedding ring when he washed his hands held nothing but dust. But there was one thing left behind. A single white envelope sitting neatly on top of the dresser, as if placed there intentionally, almost ceremonially. My fingers trembled as I picked it up and slid my thumb under the flap. Inside was a piece of paper with only one sentence written in Ethan's handwriting. "I'm sorry. I can't keep living this lie." My heart thudded painfully against my ribs. A lie? What lie? What was he talking about? We hadn't been fighting, we hadn't even been distant. Everything seemed normal, at least it had to me. Before I could read the message again, Michael's heavy footsteps approached the doorway. "I told you," he said, his voice low. "He's been struggling." I lifted my head sharply. Struggling with what? He stepped inside the room, too comfortably, as if this were his home, not mine. "With the truth," he answered simply. "With the fact that he couldn't be what you needed." His words made my skin crawl. What does that even mean? Michael walked closer, his expression softening in a way that felt forced, rehearsed. "He thought you needed someone stronger. Someone who could protect you. Someone like me." My breath caught. For a moment, I wondered if I had misheard him. "Excuse me." He sat on the edge of the bed, fingers tapping lightly on the frame. "He talked about it. How he felt overshadowed, how he couldn't keep up. How he thought you admired me." I recoiled in disgust. "That's insane. Ethan would never say that." His lips curled slightly. "He said a lot of things in the last few weeks." Something inside me snapped. "Get out," I said firmly, stepping back toward the doorway. "I don't want you in this room. I don't want you in this house." Michael's eyes darkened, the false warmth fading like smoke. "I know things you don't," he said slowly. "Things you need to accept. Things your husband didn't want to burden you with. Get out," I repeated, louder now. He stood, towering over me, but I didn't move. I refused to let him see fear in my eyes. After a long moment, he stepped back, his jaw tightening. "You're going to need me when it all unravels," he said before leaving the room. I waited until I heard his footsteps fade before grabbing my phone desperately. I dialed Ethan's number, straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I called his mother. No answer. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop looking for him." The message sent a jolt of fear through my entire body. My mind raced. Ethan wasn't missing. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. Ethan was in danger. And the one person who seemed to know everything, was the man standing in my living room. Michael wasn't here to help. He was here because he had orchestrated something. Something dark. And now I was trapped inside it. I barely slept that night, curled up in the guest room with the chair wedged tightly under the doorknob, listening to every creak of the house as if each sound were a warning. My pulse never settled. My mind kept replaying the moment I opened Ethan's letter, the sight of his empty closet, and the cold satisfaction in Michael's eyes as he fed me those twisted, cryptic answers. By morning, the air felt heavier, pressing against my lungs as I quietly packed my essentials, a few clothes, my documents, my laptop, and the USB Michael had slipped to me like some kind of poisoned gift. I cracked the door open slowly. Through the narrow gap, I saw Michael sitting on the couch with a mug of coffee, legs casually crossed, watching the morning news as if he belonged there. His calmness terrified me more than if he had been raging. Calmness meant control. Calmness meant planning. I took a deep breath and tried to walk past him without a word. But his voice slid into the air with that unnerving smoothness. "Leaving already?" he asked without turning toward me. "I'm going to the police," I said, keeping my voice steady even though my hands trembled. He finally looked at me, raising an eyebrow in mild amusement. "And what exactly will you tell them? That your husband left? That I'm here watching the house?" He shrugged. "Nothing illegal about any of that." I hated that he was right. I hated that he had orchestrated everything with such precision. "Stay away from me," I managed, stepping toward the door. But before I could leave, he reached into the drawer beside him and pulled out something small. A USB drive. He walked toward me and placed it on the table between us. "This," he said softly, "is why he left. Take it. It's time you understood the truth." His tone was so sure, so controlled, that a sliver of doubt slipped into my mind against my will. But I grabbed the USB anyway and left the house without looking back. I didn't stop driving until I reached a busy cafe 30 minutes away. I sat in a corner booth, heart pounding, and plugged the USB into my laptop. 2 files appeared, a video and a document titled, "The Truth." My fingertips tingled as I opened the document first. It wasn't written by Ethan. It was written by Michael. And it read like the confession of a man trying to rewrite reality. Pages describing how Ethan had supposedly been laundering money through his company, how he was involved with dangerous people, how he was spiraling and couldn't face me. It was detailed, too detailed. It felt constructed, designed to incriminate Ethan but also to make Michael seem like the lone savior. None of it made sense. Ethan wasn't like that. He hated risk. He double-checked receipts. He once panicked because he lost a single tax document. He wouldn't possibly be part of anything criminal. My stomach clenched. I clicked the video file. It opened to a shaky security camera angle, our living room, timestamped 2 nights before Ethan disappeared. Ethan stood in the frame, pacing, his hair messy, his hands shaking visibly. He looked terrified. My chest tightened. Then Michael entered the frame. Suddenly the shaky audio became clear enough to catch fragments. "Ethan, I can't keep doing this. I can't, Michael, you don't have a choice. Ethan, she deserves to know, she deserves the truth." Michael grabbed Ethan by the collar and shoved him against the wall. Ethan flinched violently. "Michael, if she knows, she dies." "No," I whispered, covering my mouth. "Ethan, please don't hurt her. Please, Michael, then leave. Now, disappear." The video ended abruptly, leaving my heart pounding in my throat. I stared at the blank screen, nausea rolling through me. None of this was confusion anymore. This was a threat, a warning, a message. Michael had forced Ethan to leave. He had been controlling him, manipulating him, terrifying him. And now he was trying to control me too. My hands shook as I grabbed my phone and dialed emergency services. When the operator answered, my voice came out as a shaky whisper, "I need help. My husband is missing, and I think his stepfather is dangerous. I have evidence," but before I could finish, a shadow fell over my table. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. I looked up. Michael stood right behind me. His eyes were calm, too calm. "You shouldn't have watched that," he said, his voice low. My blood ran cold. "How did you find you?" He finished for me. "You think I'd hand you something like that and not expect you to run?" He reached for my laptop with slow, deliberate movements. "You weren't supposed to know everything yet." I was going to explain it, gently. I stood up so fast my chair screeched across the floor. People turned to look, but Michael didn't care. His eyes stayed locked on mine. Now, he continued, stepping closer, you've made this complicated. And I have to decide what to do with you. My heart pounded against my ribs. But he didn't know something. Just before he reached me, I had already pressed send. I had forwarded the files, the video, the document, to my best friend, my father, and to 3 different cloud accounts. Even if he destroyed the laptop, the evidence lived. I lifted my chin, forcing the words out even though fear strangled my throat. You can't touch me. For the first time since this nightmare began, something flickered in Michael's expression, a crack, a tightening around the eyes. A flash of fear. He stepped back slowly, calculating, reassessing. He knew he had lost control. And if there was one thing a man like him couldn't stand, it was losing control. I held his gaze, refusing to look away. Around us, people had started watching. Phones were out, cameras were recording. Michael straightened his jacket as if nothing had happened. This isn't over, he muttered. Then he turned and walked out of the cafe. Only after he disappeared did I let my knees buckle. Only then did I let myself feel the terror that had been building inside me since I stepped into my empty house. But beneath the terror, there was something new. Determination. He thought he could scare me into silence. He thought he could isolate me, control me, break me. But now the truth was out. And for the first time, Michael was the one running out of time.